We have some major updates of mixed martial arts, starting with the news. Dana White broke his silence on why he chose Stipe Miocic to fight Jon Jones instead of Tom Aspinall. So recently there were rumors that Jon Jones might fight Stipe Miocic at UFC 309. Now, Dana has explained why he didn't let Tom Aspinall fight Jon. He believes that Miocic deserves to fight Jon Jones more than Tom Aspinall does. Stipe Miocic has a long and successful history in the UFC. He has fought many top fighters and has proven himself over time. Because of this, White thinks Miocic has paid his dues and deserves the opportunity to fight Jones. On the other hand, Dana said that Aspinall is very talented and could be the future of the heavyweight division. But for now, he thinks Aspinall still needs to climb the ranks and prove himself further. He believes that after Jones and Miocic fight, the winner should then fight Aspinall, giving him the chance to earn his place at the top.
Being given for this, what he did to Curtis Blades, the way that he did it and how fast he did it, there's no doubt. I mean, this guy is a scary dude and he looks like the future of the heavyweight division, right? But at the same time, he's working his way up. He's climbing up the ladder and everybody's like, he deserves this and he deserves that and he doesn't deserve anything. He looks great and he looks like he's going to be the guy. You got Stipe and Jon who have paid their dues. They've been here forever. They fought everybody. They fought all the fights that you could possibly fight. These guys deserve to fight each other. Whoever wins that fight, I think that they owe it to Aspinall to fight him and give him the opportunity that they've been given. You know, when you look at Jon Jones and Stipe, they beat all the guys, right? And you're either going to be the guy that's going to cement your legacy forever, or you're going to hand the torch off the way the torch was handed off to you guys by all the guys that came before you.
Belal Mohammad eyes double champ status after 2 more wins. As you guys know, Belal was able to capture the welterweight title with a dominant unanimous decision victory over Leon Edwards. Now, in a recent interview, Belal said he is very close to winning the next belt after just 2 more fights. Belal said he has already beaten many top fighters in his division. Plus, Belal pointed out that when Leon Edwards won, Belal was the clear top contender, having beaten fighters like Stephen Thompson and others. During the interview, Belal highlighted many of his big wins, mentioning that he beat some of the best players, like Vicente Luque, who was on a 7-fight winning streak, and Gilbert Burns, who was the #1 contender at the time. He also mentioned defeating Sean Brady, who was undefeated with 15 wins. Because of these big wins, Belal feels that after 2 more fights, he can start aiming to be a double champion, since he has already beaten many top 10 fighters. Listen to what Belal actually revealed.
I already beat so many top contenders. You could say Shavkat's next, but is he truly deserving to be next? Is Usman truly deserving to be next? Like, there's not really a clear #1 contender if you're really thinking about it. When Leon won, I was the clear #1 contender. I beat this guy, this guy, this guy. He's like, all right, well, he beat Wonder Boy and I beat like 4 guys after Wonder Boy. There's not really that guy where you're like, oh, he beat a #1 contender. None of these guys beat a #1 contender like I beat a #1 contender. When I beat Luque, he was on a 7-fight winning streak. When I beat Gilbert Burns, he was on a 2-fight winning streak. He was a #1 contender. He was right there. Sean Brady was 15-0 when I beat him. Like, all these guys had big wins, huge wins. But it tells me that I got like maybe 2 fights and now I can start talking about, you know, double champ status because I already beat all these guys in the top 10.
Joaquin Buckley shares his thoughts on Alex Pereira's fast rise. Alex has recently headlined several big pay-per-views in the MMA world and received a strong push in the UFC, but seems like Joaquin Buckley is not happy about it. Buckley is basically saying that he has a respect for Alex, but he finds it kind of weird that someone with a kickboxing background can become a UFC champ so fast. If you guys didn't know, Alex was a kickboxer before he came to MMA. Buckley thinks it makes MMA look a bit off, like it's too easy for athletes from other sports to just jump in and succeed without really putting in the years of hard work that some MMA fighters have. It kind of makes him wonder if those fighters aren't training as hard as they should be.
No disrespect to Alex Pereira, because I'm a fan of that motherfucker right now. That shit crazy what he doing, but it's still like, how is he able to do that?
Right, it kind of in a way makes MMA look a little funky.
It looks stupid, make it look retarded.
Yeah, I feel you.
Where you got guys now from different professions out of their life, like, oh yeah, I could do that shit and become a UFC champion too. It shouldn't be like that. And I'm not taking it away from it. Alex Pereira might be working his ass off every day to get there. But yet again, when you have somebody that has solely trained in MMA in itself, right? And you know, his whole goal as he got started in combat was to be a UFC fighter. But then you got another guy that's coming over, transitioning from another in different sports, still able to beat you. That's a problem. But I don't think a lot of guys are applying themselves like they should.
Jared Gordon has some words for those facing depression.
Depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts, and I think it's something we all deal with on one level or another. And it's so easy to fall into that mindset of negative thinking. You know, the world's against me, nothing works out for me, my life sucks, I know I deal with it. And I think it's important for us to force ourselves to think positively, even if you don't want to. Like, just be grateful for the things you have. Know that you're blessed. You have a family, friends, a job. That's a lot more than what other people have. I used to use, drugs and alcohol as a way to cope with those feelings, and I know a lot of other people do. So if that's how you cope with your issues, and not only are you dealing with mental health, but you're dealing with substance abuse, I'm here. If you need to talk to me, maybe I can help you. Maybe I can't. Maybe I can just lend you, some advice. But I think it's important for us to think positively, even if you don't want to. Just keep telling yourself, like, my life's not that bad. I'm going to get through this. Things are going to happen for me. Good things are going to happen. And I think eventually your mindset will get more and more positive, and you won't be as depressed as you were, or maybe you won't be depressed at all anymore. So hit me up. If you need help, I'd love to help you. Drugs, alcohol, mental health issues, I've dealt with it all. So I'm here. Have a good day. Give me a shout. Love you all.
Chael Sonnen sends a message to the UFC regarding Mokaev. For the first time, Chael Sonnen jumped into this thing. Sonnen couldn't believe Dana White removed Mokaev from the UFC. Now, after getting dropped from the UFC rankings, Mokaev confirmed he's officially out of the promotion. But Sonnen's not ready to give up hope. He's out here hoping the UFC will rethink their decision because he believes Mokaev genuinely loves the sport and is willing to learn from any mistakes he made. Sonnen's all in, arguing that Mokaev definitely deserves another chance to make his mark in the UFC.
There was one comment made by Dana, and Dana was polite. He didn't call him out. He didn't embarrass him. He gave an extremely broad stroke that he's difficult to deal with for the matchmakers. There was a difficulty or a resistance or a lack of enjoyment by the matchmakers. And I use all those words because what do they mean? Like, it didn't sound like it was something terrible. It didn't sound as though he had threatened them. I don't know him. I've just watched him in the media. And it's something that he really wants. Really, I sincerely believe that now that he's aware of whatever those actions were, I do believe that he will not take those action again. So I'm giving a shout out to him. We'll see. But I hope that they get it worked out. I hope he does get that contract with the UFC.
Matt Brown reveals why it's hard for Tony to retire from MMA. Just recently at Abu Dhabi Fight Night, Tony faced his 8th consecutive loss by losing to Michael Chiesa. Now, Tony's over 40, but he made it clear he's not retiring from MMA. At the press conference, he said he'll keep fighting as long as he feels comfortable. Matt Brown weighed in on this and explained why it's so hard for Tony to call it quits. Here's what Matt had to say.
He's like a cocaine addict, like trying to reach that high again. And it's, you when you get 8 fights, it doesn't matter. Like, if you lost 8 fights in a row, if he had lost 8 fights in a row at the beginning of his career, his first 8 fights, like, he would have quit, most likely, right? Like, he would have been like, okay, this is definitely not the sport for me. I lost 8 fights in a row. But because he's already had that high, he's thinking, okay, I can get back to that. But it's like cocaine, and it really is. I mean, that's what walking into an octagon and beating another man's ass, especially the way Tony did, where he just ripped people's souls out of their bodies. I mean, that is a high that you cannot get anywhere else in any other way. But you can't chase that. You got to accept that, that's the time, that was your season of your life, and, it's time to move on to a new season.